Welcome folks, welcome to my channel. Please enjoy the video. If you're new, welcome, and if you're an old subscriber, thank you again for stopping by. So first thing, we take the starting line, draw a line across the top. Okay, from there we're going to do all the other measurements. Okay, so I'm marking off the shoulder measurement. That's 4.5. That's from shoulder to shoulder divided by 2. And I got 4.5, so I'm marking that off. I'm going to draw a line down. I am going to mark up now the neckline. So it's 2.5. Let me do 2.25. 2.25 by 2.5. Okay, so 2.25 across and 2.5 down. Then I'm going to now make my curve. I'm just going to make a point there from there. So I'm just making a point there because that's where I'm going to be coming through. Alright, so I'm going to make a curve now. Okay, so that's my neckline curve. Okay, so now I'm going to be coming on from this shoulder line there by 1/2 inch because I'm going to be making the shoulder slope. Okay, so come down 1/2 inch, make the shoulder slope. Okay, now I'm going to put in now the armhole measurement. So that's the armhole divided by 2. I got 4.5. I'm going to mark where 4.5 is. Right here, 4.5 is there. I'm going to draw a line out from there. Okay. So now I'm going to find the center, the midpoint of this 4 now. Okay, so about 2.25. So that is it there. I'm coming in by about 1/2 inch. Okay, and why I come in by 1/2 inch is for the front armhole. So this coming in here, meaning I'm coming by 1/2 inch for the front armhole. Okay, to make the curve. For the back armhole, I'm going to be staying on this line here, the first point that we have. Okay, so now I'm going to make the curve. So this is for the back armhole. Touching that point there, and we're just going to go down, meeting back this line that we had there first, which is the chest line. Okay, so then for the back armhole, we come in through this point here. Okay, that's what we do. Now I'm going to put on now the bust measurement. I'm going to put on the bust measurement there on that line. So the bust is about 5.5, which is bust divided by 4. So I'm marking a point there. I'm adding 1/2 inch for ease. I'm adding 1/2 inch more, and another 1/2 inch. I mean, I'm adding an extra 1 inch. Okay, because it's loose. This is not tight fitting. It's an A-line dress. All right. So I'm all the way out here now. So what I'll do now, I'll see how much I've got here. I've got 7. I'm gonna put the 7 down the bottom, down the hemline. The same 7 I'm gonna be putting on the hemline. Right there. Okay. Now the length of the dress, I'm making the length of the dress to be 26. So mark that off down here. I've got that already marked, 26. All right. So down the hemline now, I've got the 7 that I've already cut for the bust line and the added inches that I put on. So I put it down here. So now I'm going to add about 2 inches more because it's a kind of loose dress. It's a very loose dress. So I'm adding 2 inches more down the hemline. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna now draw from this point here, from the bust area, where we make those marks. I'm gonna join now that point all the way down to the hemline. All right. So from this point, I'm drawing this line all the way down to the hemline. Okay. And that's for the shape of that's the dress. That's the shape of the dress. Let me go ahead and put the front armhole onto the dress. Okay, front armhole. Let me just see if I've got the right. So I'm gonna try to measure here to see. Perfect. Lovely. So then that's it, and I'm gonna now cut out. Before I cut out, I'm gonna add 1/2 inch on top of the shoulder line now for the stitching allowance. All right, so 1/2 inch. You add 1/4 inch, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so 1/4 inch there for the stitching allowance. All right, so I'm gonna now cut this out and then see what it looks like. Notice I'm cutting the back armhole here. Okay. Now down the hemline, I want a little curve down the hemline here. I don't want it to be done straight. So I'm going to come in by about 1/2 inch. So measure 1/2 inch here, and I'm going to shape it back to the center area. So 1/2 inch coming to the, if you can see that. Okay, sure. So cutting it back. There you go. And that's the shape of the back. Okay, so now I'm gonna be doing I'm just gonna cut out the front armhole on the next sheet of paper. But what you must realize is when you're going to cut it on the fabric, remember you have to put the fabric on fold, yeah, for this. Okay. Okay, so this is the back. All right, and now this is the front. So I'm going to now shape out the front armhole. Take this down. Okay. So this here is the front, and this is the back. Now at the back, we're going to need a little opening at the back. so maybe about 3 inches long. So okay, so from the top there, about 3 inches long the opening is going to be, so that the head can go through. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little curve. Okay. If you can see that, just a little curve at the back. Opening at the back so that the head will go through. Alright, so I'm just going to cut it out at the back so that the head will go through. Okay. Alright, so all of this, these 2 pieces are going to go on double material. So you're going to double the material before you cut it. Okay. So I'm going to put these 2 away, and then I'm going to cut the sleeve. So I'm making the basic sleeve now. Alright, so you want the length. I've drawn the line at the top, my starting line. So I'm not taking the length now, right? So the length now I've got here is about maybe 12 and 12 and a half, which includes the half an inch sewing allowance. All right, so after I've got that, now I'm gonna look at the cap height. I'm taking about 2 inches for the cap height, and I've drawn a line across there. All right, now bear in mind that you want the armhole now to be 5. Okay, so on this line now you're gonna have about 5 here. So you're just gonna make a kind of curvy S-like to meet this point here. All right, from the top. So you're gonna have a curvy S, sort of S shape, sort of, to meet this line here. If it's curvy, so curvy. So when you get your curvy line now, like an S or an ugly S, then you're gonna look at your bicep measurement. You're gonna put in the bicep measurement, but this is the bicep divided by 2. Whatever you get, you're gonna put it on where the bicep is. Okay, I'm just dotting, making some dots there. Okay, so it's about there. Okay, then I've got the length of the sleeve. Now down the bottom now where you have the cuff, now you're gonna put in the cuff measurement, which is the circumference here divided by 4, and you're gonna add your half an inch allowance. Right, that's what I'm doing. So all that, come all the way down, so just drawing it out. Okay, so just making some dots there, and then you're gonna just bring it all the way back up to get back to where you had your curvy S. Okay, I hope that is clear. It's just a quick way of making the sleeve, the basic sleeve. Okay, so there are 2 parts of this sleeve. So you have basic sleeve, and then you're gonna have the part that you're going to be gathering. All right, so on the basic sleeve, I'm gonna come down to where the elbow is. Okay, so I'm gonna come down, it's about 6 inches, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna be cutting off that area there. But I'm not gonna cutting it off at 6, I'm gonna be cutting it off at about 5. Okay, so I can draw a line across and be cutting it off at about 5, and this part here I'm going to be using this part, and I'm going to be joining this the gathered part now onto this part. It's going to look like a leg of mutton sleeve. All right, so I'm going to be adding onto this part here. I won't be needing that part. All right, so I'm going to need this part, and then I'm going to need the gathered part, which is going to be at the top. Okay, so I can cut this out, and then I can do the other part of the sleeve. It's like 2 parts to this sleeve. And remember, you have to put in your sewing allowance. Okay, so say this is the back part of the sleeve. If I was going to use this part, then I'll be cutting out the front part, which I would be going in a little bit more if I was going to use this part, but I'm not going to be using this part. Alright, so that's how I would be doing the front part if I was going to use this top part. So this is just for reference, but I'm going to be needing down here, so I'm going to be cutting that in a moment, cutting it off right there, and I'm going to be needing this part. Alright, so now I'm going to be cutting now the gathered part of the sleeve, which is the top part of the sleeve. All right, so I'm putting it on this newspaper here. Okay, so we want to make now the other part of the sleeve, which is the top part with the gathers in it. Okay, so this is me folding my paper in 2. So I'm folding the paper. You fold your cloth if you are your material in 2. So I'm folding this paper in 2, and I fold again to get a triangle. Okay, so I'm ensuring now that I've got the radius. All right, how do I get the radius? I want the armhole circumference now to be 15, and the reason why it's 15 is because I want it to gather. All right, the basic armhole is about 10. All right, so I'm adding now 5 inches to this because I'm going to be putting lots of gathers in it. All right, so now the circumference now is 15. I'm dividing that 15 now by 3.14, right, because I want the radius. So the radius now that I got is 4.77. Okay, so I'm going to mark off now the radius. So it's 4.77 all around here. So just rotate it and get 4.77 and just mark it off. Okay, so now I've got that. So this is me having that. Okay, so I mark it off. Okay, now I'm going to put in now the length of the sleeve that I want. So now I want the sleeve length to be 6.5. I want half an inch sewing allowance. So I'm just marking it off all the way around. 6.5, see, 6.5, 6.5, 6.5. So all the way around. So I'm gonna mark it off here, something like so. So remember now the half inch is included in this for the allowance, and up here as well, half an inch is included for the sewing allowance. Okay. Now this part here is going to be attached when it's gathered. This part will be attached to this part of the sleeve. Okay, so this here, I'm going to be stitching on to this part of the sleeve. This part here will go to the shoulder. So this is going to be the new armhole when it's gathered and put in. It's going to be the new armhole, and down here it's going to be attached to this part of the sleeve. So I'm going to cut it out and show you if it's going to be much clearer. So this is what it looks like. Alright. Okay, so this is the armhole. This is the sleeve, the top part of the sleeve. Now, under the armhole part. All right, I want it to be shorter because I do not want it to be too long. So it has to be shorter than the other side. This is the side that's going to be at the shoulder, and his part here is going to be at the armhole. So I have to take off a piece of this so it will not be too long. So I'm looking at 1.5 inches. So let me see, I've got 6.5 there. I can take off maybe 2 inches off it. So I'm going to take off 2 inches off this side here that is going to be under the arm pit there. So taking off these 2 inches. I'm taking it off because I do not want it under there to be too long. Okay. So now we've got this. So what I was saying is now, so let me see if I can explain it better. So this here part at the bottom will be gathered to match this part of the sleeve, of basic sleeve. Alright, so when it's gathered, we gather it to this measurement here. Okay, then it's gonna be puffy. Up here will be gathered, and this part, when it's gathered, this part is gonna be attached to the shoulder. Alright, and that is what the sleeve looks like. Okay, so notice this is longer. This is gonna be at the top of the shoulder, and this is gonna be under the arm. Okay, so now we are ready to stitch. I hope you understand what we just did. So I'm going to cut this off now, okay, because I don't need the top part. I'll cut it off and I can use it. So I don't really need that part. I just need the bottom part. So when I'm cutting now on the fabric, I'm going to be putting this here, just this alone, on folded fabric. Yeah, this is going to be put on the folded fabric. I don't need that part. Okay, and that's the sleeve. So I'm going to start cutting now on the fabric. Okay, so I forgot to say that the back neckline is higher than the front. So for the front one, we went down by about 2.5. Now for the back neckline, I'm going down by 1 inch. All right, so 1 inch from the shoulder line, just 1 inch down. All right, and then I'm going to now make that opening there that I need so that the head can pass through. Okay, so I forgot that, so I've just corrected myself there. So then I can cut this back out now. So that's it. So now I can cut this out. Let me see. So this is the back I'm trying to cut out here. Don't want to waste any material, so I'm just, okay, that's fine. Okay, all right, so that's it. Okay, so I'm just gonna pin it now, and then I'm gonna cut. Remember, it's unfold. Okay, it's unfold. Just pinning it to keep the material from shifting while I'm cutting. Okay, one more. Okay, that's it. So now I'm going to cut now. That's it. The back. here. And then that's the front of the other piece. So that's the back. This is the front. Okay. So notice the neckline for the back is up here and the front is down there. Alright. So one is higher than the other. So let's put these pieces away. I'm going to cut the facing now. Fold it. Just fold it back in half like so. Fold it back in half. So it's in the fold and I've got the material here on fold, so I'm cutting the facing. So I just put it underneath there, right? And I'm gonna cut from here all the way down to there, about maybe 3 inches wide. Yeah, maybe about 3 inches wide, so about down here. Okay, so I'm there, 3 inches wide. About one. So let's marking this out. Should be fine. Okay. So download the wide, and then just about there. About there. So let's straighten it out. Try to get the shape around the edge. Okay, so I'm gonna cut it out now. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna now be stitching around the neckline, down there, up, back, and around again. but I'm going to be stitching the ends down here. I'm going to be hemming it then, hemming it around. Okay, so what you can do, you can use a serger if you have one, and then you can just fold it once and serge it all the way around. Okay, so that's for this piece, which is the back. Let me just pin them here. Okay, and that's for that. And you do the same thing for the front piece. Okay, set it down on it like that, and double material, and then you cut it. So now this is the top part. Place it now on folded material. So the material is folded. Alright, it's on the left hand side, and I've placed this on top, and I'm just going to cut it. Notch it, notch, make a notch there or a mark. Good. So I'm cutting both sleeves at the same time. So I've folded the material and fold it again. Alright, so place it so I can get a nice flat area before I cut. Get it nice and flat. Okay, so that's it. I think I've got everything now, so put these away and we will start to stitch. Okay, so I've started the stitching. Now I've stitched around the neckline. So I've made a loop. Alright, this is for the button. So it's just a rectangle piece of fabric. Okay, I folded it twice and then I stitch along the edge. I fold it in two and I place it under the facing, right, the open side towards the seam. like that. So now I'm gonna do some cuts to turn it over nicely. Okay, so there's some cuts along here, not cutting the stitch. So alright, when I'm done doing that now, then we can turn it over. Cut up here. Stitch off there. So then when I turn it over, it should look something like this. So that's part of it. So when I'm finished, it should be looking like that. So I'm gonna stitch that in a minute. Okay, so I'm gonna stitch that part, and then this is the other side. This is the front. So I've stitched all around it. I've made the clips or the cuts under the curvy areas, and I've turned it over like so. This is what it looks like at this point. There's a neckline, and there's this one as well. Okay, so this here, a button will be put there, and then it will be connected there. Okay, so that's the button and that's the back. All right, so now I'm gonna close the shoulders off. Okay, so this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this is the shoulder area here. I'm gonna be aligning them together. Where the seam is, I'm putting the next seam right there, and I'm gonna now stitch across it. Okay, so I'm gonna now stitch across. Okay. Stitching across it. Stitch across it. That's this one is done. Can you see? This one is done. So that one is done. Okay, so I'm gonna do this one now and come back and show you. Okay, so now this is what it looks like so far. Okay, so that's the back. That there is the loop for the button. Okay, so now I'm on to now the sleeve. This is the top part of the sleeve. So what I'm doing, I'm using my needle and thread, and I'm doing some running stitches across here, because the machine won't allow me to do it. So I'm doing running stitches across here for my gathers. All right, I'm gonna pull it together until I get the measurement of the armhole. All right, and then I'm gonna put it around it. I make a notch in the center. All right, and I've notched the center at the bottom as well. So down here I'm just gonna do running stitches. Down here I'm leaving off about 1/4 of an inch out here. So I'm starting here. Right, I'm starting here, not all the way up there. I'm starting here with the running stitches. Okay, so I'm doing my running stitches, and I'm gonna do that all the way around, and I'm gonna pull the thread together until I get the measurement of the armhole. All right, now this one here I've kind of completed. right? So this is how I'm going to be putting it on onto the bottom part of the sleeve, which is this. Okay, so this one is done. I've pulled this one together and I've kind of base it on to this bottom part of the sleeve, right? So it's right side facing the right side. Then I'm going to be stitching it along there. So up here now, I'm going to be attaching up here to the armhole, right? Okay, so the armhole is here. So I'm going to be attaching it to the armhole, and then I'm going to be closing off the sides. Okay, so now I'm continuing now to do my running stitches for my gathers at the bottom of the sleeve. All right, so this is the top part. Just gonna go here. Okay, I'm doing this bottom part now, and then I'm going to be attaching it to this. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, so I've based it on. Okay, and now this is what it looks like. So I'm going to turn it around. So this is the sleeve there. Okay, this is a straight part of the sleeve, and this is the gathered part. All right, so now I'm going to stitch it around. All right, stitch both of them around, and then I'm going to be attaching them to the armhole. So I've made a notch right in the center of the sleeve, and I'm going to be attaching that up here to this the seam, the shoulder seam here, right? So I'm going to be attaching it there. I'm going to be just spinning it until I come around. All right, pin it. I'm going to pin it all the way around it. This is right side facing the right side of the fabric, and I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to be stitching around it. All right, I'm going to do the same thing for the other side, and then I'm going to join them. Okay, so I'm going to join them like so, but I think I am going to hem down here first. Hem the bottom. So I'm going to hem it. I'm just going to turn it up by maybe a quarter of an inch. I'm going to get 2 turns. So turn it once and then turn it again, and then I'm going to stitch it. All right, so hemming the bottom of the sleeve. Okay, I'll be right back. So I've attached the sleeves, and this is what it looks like now. Stitch the bottom of the sleeve, and it's almost finished now. Now I just have, what I have left to do now is just to hem the bottom of the dress. So I'm just going to turn it once, about half an inch, turn it again another half an inch, and then just stitch around it, and that should do it. And we are done. So that's the dress there. Hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy the video. I hope you have learned something from the video, and see you in my next one. Bye.